Succession planning, it's simply the term used for the process of planning how to replace a person if they're going to leave a position within your organisation. And these plans are important to have in place, especially for key roles or critical positions such as the superintendent pharmacist role. A business can't open or operate a registered pharmacy without having a superintendent in place. So it follows that if a superintendent leaves the business, the company cannot lawfully trade in medicinal products and should cease or must cease its activities in that regard until an appropriate replacement superintendent has been found. There are serious repercussions if a company insists on continuing without a superintendent pharmacist. Firstly, the owner can be prosecuted, and depending on the circumstances, the superintendent pharmacist that has left the business may find themselves investigated under Part 6 of the Pharmacy Act. And that is because neither party have fulfilled their legal obligations in relation to continuity of patient care. So if you are responsible for running a retail pharmacy business and you haven't drafted a succession plan for your superintendent role, it's important that you do so as soon as possible. And you should also raise awareness within the organisation for the importance of such a plan, both for your patients and the continued legal operation of your pharmacy practice.
Not having a succession plan in place would be considered a significant risk to the business. Having a documented plan in place, on the other hand, demonstrates a superintendent pharmacist's attention to risk assessment, legal compliance and continuity of patient care. Drafting a succession plan is a simple process and does not need to involve long or complex documentation. How you draft a succession plan will differ depending on the ownership structure and the number of pharmacists there are in your business. The majority of superintendent pharmacists in Ireland are sole traders or part of a limited company where they are in personal control of one single retail pharmacy business. To develop a succession plan in these cases, the superintendent should simply reflect on who is likely to be tasked with carrying on the business in such circumstances. For example, an executor or administrator, perhaps a family member that may act as a representative within the meaning given by Section 25 of the Pharmacy Act 2007. They should also ensure that any relevant people, such as their solicitor or accountant, are informed of important details. For example, that having a superintendent pharmacist is a condition of the operation of the pharmacy as well as the maintenance of its registration. They should outline any competency requirements their successor should possess and document these, such as the legal requirement to have a minimum 3 years post-registration experience, as well as any desired employment history or previous management experience and knowledge of current legal and professional developments. Increasingly, they also need strong management and leadership skills. Because of the new accountability structure, superintendent pharmacists now have to be able to develop effective reporting structures and provide direction, leadership and guidance to other qualified pharmacists within the retail pharmacy business. They should also communicate in their succession plan that the name of the nominated superintendent pharmacist must be submitted to the registrar of the PSI using a nomination form that can be obtained from the registration unit. Those who may be tasked with carrying on the business, such as executors or family members, may contact the PSI for guidance and advice as necessary. Approximately 200 superintendent pharmacists in Ireland are acting in this capacity for 2 or more pharmacies. In this case, superintendent pharmacists should ask themselves, firstly, have they communicated the importance of the role to others within the business? Secondly, have they defined the basic competency requirements, such as a minimum 3 years post-registration experience and any preferred management experience? Ideally, they may be able to identify another registered pharmacist within the organisation with the right experience, knowledge, skills and attitude required to discharge the duties of the superintendent pharmacist, and then simply agree and document the name of this appropriate successor internally. If there is no one suitable within the organisation, a job description should be drafted and agreed internally in preparation for future external recruitment. An exit plan should be drafted detailing the process to be followed should the superintendent pharmacist decide to leave the company. The PSI must be promptly notified of any professional staffing changes within a retail pharmacy business so that the registration record of that pharmacy can be updated. It is also important that any material changes made or proposed in respect of the registered retail pharmacy business be communicated to the PSI. Superintendent pharmacists and pharmacy owners must be aware that any change in ownership of a retail pharmacy business has the effect of cancelling the registration of that retail pharmacy business. Consequently, it's important to note that a pharmacy must reapply as a new opening should a change in ownership occur. Superintendent pharmacists and pharmacy owners should contact the registration unit of the PSI with specific queries relating to the notification of changes to personnel or ownership.
The Pharmacy Act is a hugely empowering body of legislation, and it's brought immense benefits both to the profession and to our patients. We now have a robust regulatory system, standards that we can demonstrate, as well as a new system of mandatory CPD or continuing professional development. We also have clear accountability structure for our patients and for decisions relating to medicinal products. The superintendent pharmacist is key to ensuring that pharmacy services are delivered in a consistent and professional and ethical manner in a registered and appropriate environment, with the ultimate goal of providing the highest quality of care for our patients.
Some important questions to reflect on as a superintendent pharmacist are: how am I ensuring patient safety within my practice? Have I identified possible risks that can occur to my patients or the public? And importantly, what steps am I taking to prevent these risks? Also, am I in personal control of this practice? And how can I demonstrate that control?